Okay. Yay. Okay. So we are live. We are here on MaterializeTV today. I am Tracy Warren, along with Amber McDaniel and Melissa Kessler. We are Team Uncoached, in addition to our fabulous team members that are not on camera with us today. Major shout out to them, as always, because they are phenomenal and allow us to do what it is that we do. So we are here to essentially have an after party. And you're like, why are we having an after party? What the heck is the podcast? What is it all about? Why are we taking up MaterializeTV time to have a party? Well, we should always be having a party in my mind. However, we are totally celebrating imperfect action today. We're celebrating doing things unfinished. We're celebrating taking major steps on things that we have put off. And I don't know if any of you guys watching have done the same thing. I would wager to say that we all, if we're on this planet, we have put off something out of fear or out of insecurity or out of kind of not knowing what to do and what next steps to take. So we're just going to talk and celebrate today and give you some info about the podcast and point you over there so that you can really have a good foundation and check out the inaugural episode. Yeah. Congratulations to you two who have really prompted me and lit a fire under me to get this up and going, because I remember before we started Uncoached even, so that would have been, a good 4 years ago, my coach saying, you don't have a podcast? You should have had a podcast last year, and actually she's the same person that I met with in person last week in Denver. Shout out to Leah, if you're listening. And we were calculating, I think that we've known each other for 8 years. So I started working with her 8 years ago, which is crazy. And now finally we've taken action on this thing that has been years in the making. And so you think we've got some content built up for some great episodes on the podcast? Yeah. So yes, what did you guys think about the podcast time this morning? What are your takes on having now taken that imperfect action?
I think it's going to become more real when I actually see it up on like the podcast app and I can click on it and play it, because we go live so many places and often. So yeah, for me, it was just a normal, like, hey, let's get together, have a conversation, do a recording. And it was a little bit different, I would say, because our intentions were different and the things that we were speaking to were a little bit different, but it was fun. I just know, chatting, Tracy and I, as long as we've been together and working alongside one another, how long we've talked about doing this. And so the thing that was coming to mind as you were talking was, we could have taken imperfect action before, but we chose not to, and that's okay. And that we're doing it now, there are no regrets. We don't have regrets in that we didn't take imperfect action 3 or 4 years ago, So I guess maybe we could even have conversation around that. Like, we could have done it, but we didn't, and it's okay.
Yeah. And I have to say so much about that, because for myself, for the last 10 years, the same thing. Like, why don't you have a podcast yet? Why don't you? And I feel like God always has his plan. Like, hey, it would have been very different if it was just me on my own doing a podcast, where now the three of us, there's so much. And like, even saying like the content, like the amount of content and what we have, to provide now. And then what really I love about it is the whole imperfect action. And Tracy, very well, when I first started working with you, I was like, I have to have my whole program put together before like that is out. Like, I would never be one to just be like, all right, let's go with nothing planned and without it all working, So it's so fun though, because it just like takes all of that heaviness off.
Yeah.
And it's like so easy. Like, hey, we're just getting on to talk. Like, there's none of this, all this extra stuff going on that normally comes along with when you're taking perfect action, instead of perfect action.
Well, it's so fascinating because as I look back over the last several years, I was thinking through what were the excuses, what were the roadblocks that I had at different points. And it changed. It wasn't always just one roadblock for the last 4 years or whatever. It was at first, it was that I don't have any idea about the tech around it. No idea. And I still kind of don't. I mean, it is sitting there recorded and I haven't hit upload yet, but I know today that that's going to happen. By this evening, you'll be able to go and find it places, and we will post the link here and everywhere. And so be on the lookout. So at first it was the tech, and then it went to, well, I probably need to hire somebody really fancy that's going to cost me thousands of dollars because A, I don't know the tech, and B, then there's all the editing, and then there's like music, and I don't have time for that. So then time's another thing. And then it went to, well, I don't know what equipment to use. And then it went to, I don't know how to use the equipment. The equipment's on the other side of this laptop right now. Still didn't use it this morning. Still didn't use the microphone. So all of these different little things, I mean, there's multiple areas of resistance that if I want to listen to it, then it will keep me stuck. And finally, you know what? We talk all the time. How many times have we said, oh man, if we had only recorded that conversation, that would have been so good to listen to. And so in the end, I feel like, my goodness, who really cares about the intro? Who really cares about the outro? Who really cares about what microphone I'm using? As long as it's a clear connection, right? And who really cares about most of this other stuff? If anything, we're giving people permission to take action on whatever it is that they want to take action on and to flub it up. And as I was telling somebody yesterday, I was like, you know what? I haven't informed the President of the United States that this is going live today. It's probably going to be okay. If we do this first episode and it's a complete failure, it's really probably going to be fine. Oprah doesn't know about it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's going to be okay. So I'm super glad that you guys were on board also to let it be imperfect, to let it grow with us and to let us grow with it. And to be able to look back 2 weeks from now, even 4 weeks, 6 months, 6 years from now, and see the progress that we've made and the way that we show up. It's a wonderful thing. There's no shame in growth, and to put something out as if we are perfect when we are clearly not perfect. And I just saw the live button. It said 11:11 on 11:11, which is always fun. It's awesome. Like we're in the right place, taking imperfect action. And that's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Random, but mine does not say 11. It says 8:42, 43, 44.
Isn't that usually
yours too?
Yeah.
My button starts.
I was like, what does she talk about?
Yeah, I know. Whenever I go live, it usually starts at 2 minutes and like 34 seconds or something. Because I've noticed that before, 2, 3, 4. I've noticed that. And so I'm like, I don't understand. Unless it's like when I enter the studio on StreamYard. So real live lesson, those of you that use StreamYard, we still don't know how to use StreamYard. We're still, and we've been using StreamYard for months now. You know what I mean? So I don't understand how these things work. I don't even understand how prayer works, but it does.
As long as it works. That's it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I had something, but it left me. I went like this.
So why don't we, for our listeners, as we are celebrating, give them an ABCD that they could take even from today's after party and or podcasting. And I want to give a major shout out to Honor Garrett, who has answered a bajillion of my questions. And one of the things that you will hear, and I'm not going to say much, one of the things that you will hear in the podcast that I refer to is that it was really important to us that this be something that is unedited and unfiltered. We're not necessarily going to be sharing it live at that very moment because we're getting together usually about around 7 a.m. in the morning to do it. So there's probably not going to be a plethora of people that are like wanting to hop on at 7, but that's okay. And maybe there is a whole population of 7 a.m.ers. But anyways, that is the feel and that authenticity that comes with that, just unedited, unfiltered, this is who we are, this is what you get kind of thing, is really important. And Honor helped give me permission, for what I wanted to do anyway, and to say, this is what we feel like is sustainable, let's run with it. So shout out to you, Honor. She is fantastic. You should definitely listen to her podcast as well, which is the Honor It All podcast. So
yeah,
to that.
Awesome. Well, I was sitting here thinking, okay, ABCD process, awaken, believe, captivate, dance for all of you who don't know or are just learning about that. And so in the awaken is stillness. And the thing that came to me was don't stay still too long. Don't stay in that stillness place of like dreaming and constant, okay, this is how it can happen. And how do I make it happen? And, again, making it perfect. I
think as soon as you have a choice, that's the key. That's the prompt for you to leave the phase of awaken. When you're faced with a choice, then it's time to believe.
Yeah, definitely. Transition.
Yeah, start moving. Start moving with it. Yeah. I was actually thinking about, though, maybe not necessarily right in this place, but going through that awaken phase of that it did take all of this time to get there. We had to be still and hear like what God really wanted from us, what he really wanted us to do. And it's okay. It's okay to wait for him to give us that.
Yeah. So in terms of the podcast, we had about 4 years of stillness around this project, if you wanted to say that, the ABCD process of this. And then, I don't know, at some point in this past calendar year, it was like, yeah, this is time to move forward on the podcast. And I remember it being part of our second quarter strategy. And then we did move forward a little bit, start making those decisions within the believe phase. And then it didn't happen in the second quarter. So then third quarter comes, and there was that captivate season of this podcast, the creation of this podcast, that was like, you know what? I don't think we're in a place to hire somebody to just do all of this stuff. And so that's a stripping away. It's a place of, okay, I'm going to have to lean on you, Lord, and in what you've already taught us to move forward on it. And so that very much what could be the captivate season of podcast creation for Destiny Culture. And then today we move into dance, and we are taking that action and celebrating where we've come.
Yeah.
Speaking of celebrating, I had said we needed to get together with like something and snacks. I have my kombucha in my wine glass, so I brought it.
That's good. Cheers, ladies. Cheers.
I have leftover Zevia from yesterday.
Is that one of your many drinks on your desk today?
Yes, this is one of the ones for today. And I like Zevia enough that even if I don't finish a can in a day, it gets carried over to the next day. I'm like, I will drink this flat Zevia.
Can we please cut and edit that and send it to Zevia? Because that was a great commercial. Yes.
It's so good.
After we got done recording, I was like, I don't want want to get off. Like, I just want to stay and celebrate and have a party. And so we are going to try as a team, to do that. But we're excited for you all to be able to join in on our journey. Like, you guys that are here that know and see, you get to start from day one to be able to listen and follow with us. So that's really fun and exciting.
And you know what, that kind of, as we wrap up, sort of the flow of things now, because we've got Materialize TV that goes in to Materialize Impact. If you're listening somewhere else and you're not in Materialize Impact, we invite you there. That is our community. That is where lots and lots of deep conversation happens. And it's a safe place to grow, a safe place to learn, a safe place to be. And so we will be using many of these Materialize TVs to kind of debrief from whatever conversation has happened on the podcast. So every other podcast will be kind of team uncoached and then interview, team uncoached interview. And both of those, we will come back here to Materialize TV and have conversation around. So this way you've got time, between now and next week, essentially next Thursday, to go and listen to the Destiny Culture podcast. And like I said, it will be loaded today. So be on the lookout for that, and make sure that you subscribe to it so that you get the notifications when there's a new one every week. But in general, you will find that it is going to be uploaded on a Thursday. And then that way you've got, the weekend through that beginning of next week to listen to Destiny Culture podcast, and then bring your conversation here to Materialize TV to have conversation around that.
Did you see the comment that Rebecca just made? She said, I'm drinking coffee out of Celebrate the Small Victories mug.
Oh, cool.
That's so fun.
So cool.
Cheers to you, Rebecca.
I know. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, that is Materialize TV for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting everything that we at Team Uncoached do. And certainly this next phase, this next leveling up of what we have to offer through the Destiny Culture podcast. So let us know what you think once you check it out, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.